What's in the cards and the stars for you this week ahead? Let's tune in. Welcome, welcome. It is definitely a week that is encouraging you to release in order to receive. And letting go sometimes seems so incredibly challenging. But when we do, there is a freedom that comes. Our shoulders get lighter, our heads open up. We can think about other things. Our hearts are open to receive. We're not carrying the old hurt and pain. So I'm excited because we are going towards a new moon solar eclipse. It's all about letting go this week. If you have been feeling sleepy, exhausted, drained, you are not alone. If you're feeling energetic and ready and raring to go, let me know in the comments. I'm really curious. I want to know your secret. I've definitely been feeling tired. Hello, Julie. Great to have you. And say hello as you hop on as well. It's great to be able to come together every Monday, 9:30 a.m., to come together in community and to just talk about the week ahead, know what to prepare for, because that's what this time is. It's a time to give you a little bit of a heads up of the energetic weather, what's happening in the cosmos, the moon and the stars, the spiritual practices that you can utilize to harness the energy so that you can go into the week really feeling like you're working with universe, with God, source, whatever you call that higher power by, instead of always an uphill climb against the current. Okay. So, with a hand on your heart, I invite you to tune in and to simply ask, what's the most important thing that you need to know going into this week ahead? And who comes up? The, the Knight of Wands. I always wanted to say the King of Wands, the Knight of Wands. And the Knight energy is a youthful energy. So when we have cards that represent the court, the page, the knight, the queen, and the king, this can either be aspects of ourselves or aspects of someone in our lives. And maybe you find that this week there is a desire for freedom. In the background is a beautiful black stallion. Here you have like Black Beauty, somebody wanting to run wild and free and not be confined by boundaries any longer. So, the energy of the week, I want to invite you to kind of contemplate the what ifs. What if you didn't have to worry about that extra detail? Maybe it's the pile in the corner. Maybe it's, I always get frustrated because sometimes I feel like I end up moving piles around because things don't have a home. There's not a place for them. And water bottles are a big thing in our family. I have my daughter, my son, who's back with us for a while as he's kind of transitioning from moving back home from Texas. And anyway, long story short, we've got a bajillion water bottles and some have broken lids. And then somebody like, oh, I just swap the lids out and I'll do this. But I feel like they're either on the counter or they're in a corner and I just move the pile. And it's like, well, how can I vacuum there? Or how can I clean the counter? I have to keep moving the piles. And it's annoying, right? This is small scale. This is no big deal. But then it could be something at work for you. Maybe it's with a business. Maybe you're across multiple platforms with your business. You have many pieces of software talking to one another, and it gets really confusing. And there's this other option that could help you streamline things and become more efficient. And that's the goal. This Virgo energy, sun is in Virgo. It's all about efficiency and effectiveness. So this eclipse, this time of the year is saying, how can we become more efficient and effective so that our energy doesn't feel drained, that we're not overextending ourselves? Because energy is in short supply, it seems, as we move towards this dark moon, new moon, and we want to be able to use it wisely. Good morning, Chrissy. So great to have you on. I'm sorry to hear you're tired as well. Yeah, it's just, oh man, I tell you what, this is knocking me for a loop. We went out Saturday night to see a soccer game and we won. Yay, go FC Cincinnati. And anyway, but I was so exhausted all day Sunday because I stayed up till 2 a.m. And I don't know if it was that. I don't know if it was the fun of the game, but I thought, holy cannoli. Full new moon, who knows? All right, full day, time for rest. let's get into this week ahead. And by the way, if we haven't met, my name is Irina Miller. I'm a spiritual life guide, what I call an energy alchemist, and an astrologer. And it is my joy to work with curious empathic seekers to bring you the sacred practices and tools that enable you to step into the life that you were born to live. That's what this is all about. I want to be able to help you use the map or use the stars as your map and your guide, and pair that with the practices that really make your days fun, joyful, peaceful, exciting. So looking at the week ahead, the overarching energy of the week is one where the moon is waning. So it's getting darker and darker and darker. And when that happens, some people who consider themselves sensitive to the moon or moon sensitives, their energy drops. And when your energy drops, sometimes we can beat ourselves up. Like, why can't I, just push through this? Why can't I do more? Well, if you start to learn the patterns and you just take note of them and you keep track, and I created a whole moon journal. I have it available digitally now. I'm sold out of my physical copies, but this is the physical version of the journal where I just encourage people track what the moon is doing, track how you're feeling physically, emotionally, mentally, and you're going to start to spot the patterns. And when you spot the patterns, what that does is it enables you to prepare ahead of time. So when you look at the weeks ahead, you're like, oh, well, it's a waning moon. The energy is releasing. So of course, I'm going to have a little less energy that week. So I'm going to want to be mindful in how I, pack my calendar. And that's something I will say is this week, watch. Don't overschedule yourself. Give yourself some breathing room so that you can take some time to assess what needs to shift and change. Because we're also moving towards that autumnal equinox. So in September. So anyway, September 20th, 21st. Okay, let's look day by day. As you are moving into Monday, the thing about Monday's energy is that the moon is in Cancer. And when you have a Cancer moon, it's a little bit extra sensitive. It's very aware of its emotions. And there's a tendency to want to nurture, whether we're nurturing ourselves or someone else. So I'm going to encourage you today on Monday, take time to check in with friends, family. If you're working in the world of, business or working with other people, check in with your clients, check in with your team, make sure that people are doing okay and that they know that you're looking out for them. The Cancer moon is a mothering or a nurturing energy. It's about family. So it's a time to really strengthen home base, your foundations, to create a feeling of safety. How many people do you hear become unsatisfied in the work they do because they feel unappreciated or they feel like, no one cares? Today is the time to reach out and just send like a little, positive note. What's the name of it when you send people like memes? There's a name for it. It's like the new kind of love language. Like you'd leave somebody a Post-it note or old days snail mail something, but now you just send a little meme. I love doing that. And the other thing that I love, I don't know if you guys do this, but I've got featured photos on my phone that'll pop up. And so when the featured photos pop up, I'll just text the person the photo. I'll be, oh, I'm thinking of you. You popped up on my phone. I love that. It's so much fun. And it's a way to stay in touch. And it's a way to show that you care. So nice and simple. Monday's a great day for that. If I were to I'm going to pull a card. I'm just going to ask, how can you make the most of Monday's energy? Queen of Swords. So this is the visionary. This is the CEO of the business and of her business. She is looking out over her queendom and she's being objective. She's not letting emotions get in the way. Her little heart, her big, beautiful heart, is just kind of tucked off to the side. She has access to it if she wants, but she can be objective. Now, this is so fascinating on a day where the moon is definitely all about heart and feelings and emotions. So how to make the most of it? Know that you might be a little bit more emotional or sensitive. Know that those feelings can run deep, but channel them effectively rather than becoming overwhelmed by the feelings and emotions of, I need to do this. What are they thinking? Do they like me? Did I upset them? Put it into a big vision picture and say, how can I be emotionally supportive, both towards myself and other people? And it might just be a little note. You send them a meme, you send them a photo, just how you doing, thinking of you. That's a great thing. I had a friend message me the other day, and she just said, thinking of you with a cute emoji. And it was so sweet because life is, a little bit adventurous right now. And long story short, I don't necessarily always have the energy to respond. And I don't know about you guys, I'm really bad at texting. I try, but as an empath, what happens is there's a certain amount of energy that I need to build up before I can text or respond because I just the emotional impact of it. I don't know. I know I'm not alone in this. I've heard other people talk about it. That's why I bring it up. Otherwise, I'd be like, I don't know. I won't share that. But let me know if you ever feel that. There's a certain energy that I bring when I want to respond and engage. And if I feel like I don't have that energy, I kind of step away. So it was really nice. I just got this beautiful text and I knew that there wasn't any extra energy that was needed or involved. They were just thinking of me. They sent a little love. They didn't say, how are you? They didn't say what's going on. I know, your dad is still recovering, how are things? Because that requires, and then it's like, fine, or, oh, better, or, So it's so nice. So just think about that. The energy that you put into an email or a text, that's powerful. People feel it. Even though they're like, you can't get tone or emotion across in email or texting, empaths feel it. They feel what's been put behind the message. Very, very, very interesting. Anyway, I won't go down that other rabbit hole. Let's stay on track. So Chrissy, yes, you understand. Yay. Glad I'm not the only one. Hannah, hello. Great to have you. Tuesday, the moon is still in Cancer. And just as a side note, I know I've said this before, but just to it's nice to repeat, especially for new viewers who are jumping on. The zodiac sign that the moon is in. So the moon will change zodiac signs every 2.5 days roundabout. And so it's like in Cancer for 2.5 days or so. And then after Cancer, it's going to go into Leo for about 2.5 days. So you have this 2.5 day window where the moon is engaging with this energy. And the moon is our emotions, it's our feelings, it's how we can tap into our intuition. It sets the rhythm of a daily routine because it is one of the fastest moving celestial bodies, let's say, in the heavens above. So it affects us the most in this moment as we're here on Earth, spiritual beings having this human experience. So by tracking the moon, what we're able to do is we're able to say, oh, if I've been riding on this roller coaster of emotions, I know it'll change in 2 days, or I know that a Scorpio moon really gets me fixated on things and I might be a little bit more compulsive or impulsive. I know that a Virgo moon is going to have me cleaning and really just overly critical, and my family knows to hide. The moon is in Virgo. Because every little speck of dirt gets to be like, what is this mess? So you can plan ahead. Your family can be protected. They don't have to deal with your crazy emotions. But that's why it's nice to track the moon. Okay, so Tuesday, the moon is in Cancer. This is a great day to look at things and say, where am I being drained? What projects are draining me? What client interactions are draining me? What things in my home are draining me? What relationships? Just look at what, if you're looking at your to-do list and all of a sudden you feel like somebody's unplugged your batteries or the plug, and you're like, well, I just don't have energy for that. Be aware. This is a day to do an audit. Audit your business, audit your interactions with people. It's a day to say, okay, I'm ready to trim the fat. I'm ready to become more effective in my interactions, to create a simplification of the process. That way I'm preparing for the eclipse. Because here's the thing about eclipses. Eclipses are here to get us back on track, I really believe. They shake up our world a little bit. They shift things around so that if we've been either in denial or we've been like, oh, if it ain't broke, why fix it? It's good enough. We're getting into a comfort zone. If we get into those grooves, but we're not on track to live out the fullness of our life, eclipses shake things up and say, hey, you're missing out over here. There's a great opportunity. When it comes to even co-creating, manifesting, Something that I love that my husband's really good at is you might have a wish for something like, oh, I wish I could get this car, this house, or who knows, right? Fill in the blank. But you wish for that and you add the caveat, this or something better. Because sometimes we limit ourselves in our creations. We're not omnipresent. We don't know of all the possibilities and options. And so we can really confine our opportunities if we become just locked into one way only. So this or something better. So when you're talking about this energy on Tuesday with the moon in Cancer, what I invite you to do is you're simplifying the process because you're like, okay, I might have had a goal in mind, but what if it could be something even better? We're going to prepare for this eclipse. We're going to make room for it. What's been gumming up the works that has or would make it difficult for you to say yes to a new opportunity? Time to release inefficiencies. And we're going to pull a card for Tuesday and just ask, how can you make the most of Tuesday's energy? Queen of Wands. And this is the Just Do It card. I really see her as fiery and energetic. And part of the goal with her is to really focus on managing your energy well. She can burn the candle at all the ends. She's excited. She's enthusiastic. She is an inspiration to others. Her light inspires and lights a bajillion other candles and spirits and souls around her. So if you have been inspiring other people, if you have been supporting them, take a moment to make sure that you're being effective and efficient in the way that you do that. So one thing to an example of this is when I do energy healing, and anybody who does energy healing, it's very important to know that you're not using your energy to do the work. Because if you did, you would be draining your life force. And that's one of the reasons I got into energy healing from the very beginning. I had my brick and mortar yoga studio. I was teaching like 14 classes a week. And physically, yes, there's a certain fatigue that comes to that, but not too badly. And the fatigue that I felt was in my heart. And I almost felt like this is the way I described it, somebody had put like a cord into my heart and just siphoned out my life force. Like they sucked the life out of me. And a friend of mine at the time, and this goes back a long time ago, like 20 years more, she said to me, oh, people are energetically cording to you. And I said, excuse me, what are you talking about? And so I started to go down that path to realize that as an empath, when we see someone suffering and we feel compelled to help, we want to see them feel better. We want to help and assist. We can give so much of ourselves that it's almost like, here, take my energy. And no, cancel, clear, delete. And we do it unconsciously, really. We're not aware of it. And other people cord and connect to us because it's almost like fairies and vampires, like, yummy, you've got a lot of energy and light. Let me just take some of that, really. It's not even a borrow. And then we're drained. So you begin to realize and learn when you practice energy healing, energy work, that we are a conduit. We're connecting to source, to God. And you channel that energy so that you can support other people. Because sometimes, we all need a little help from our friends. It's not that we can't do it ourselves or we always need a middleman, that we can't go directly to God. It's not about that. But think of like when if you've ever experienced hurting your back and you throw your back out and it's just like, ow. Sometimes we just can't fix ourselves. Sometimes we can't clasp the necklace ourselves or, like zip up the dress. We need assistance from someone. And then once we get to a certain point, it's like, oh, okay, I can finish the rest or I can maintain this. So we learn, how can we become a channel and a conduit for this energy to support other people? Not that they can't do the work on their own, but every now and then it's nice to get a little help from a friend, whether it's going to the chiropractor for an adjustment or a massage to get rid of that tight muscle. This can be really helpful. All right, let's go ahead and we'll pull a card. Well, I pulled a card for Tuesday, didn't I? Let's keep going. Wednesday. And hello, Yas. I'm not sure if you say Jazz or Yas or such a beautiful name. I'm glad you're here. Okay, so diving into Wednesday's Leo moon. And as we do this, one of the things that I want to do is just take a moment because I can feel how I was energetically showing you the releasing of the energy. I feel that drain in my heart. We become more sensitive to these things. So this is live energy tips in action. What I'm going to invite you to do is, if you ever feel a physical drain, if you're around what you consider like an energy vampire, after talking to the person, you just feel drained and exhausted, a couple different things you can do. First thing is just take a couple deep breaths. And as you take a couple deep breaths, imagine a beautiful golden light that runs from the center of the cosmos down through the very center of the head, down through the throat, the heart, down through upper belly, lower belly, through pelvic floor, down between the legs, and down through 6 layers of earth: topsoil, subsoil, a layer of granite, a layer of fire, a layer of crystals, magma, to the very core and heartbeat of Mother Earth and ground. Beautiful. And as you ground, anything in your space that isn't serving you, you can flush it out like you're flushing the toilet. Good. Take a breath and fill up with a beautiful golden light, like you're standing underneath a beautiful ray of sunshine. Wonderful. And that beautiful golden light all around you is a wonderful way to place yourself into what's called energetic neutrality. And it's a great protective mechanism so that you can be there to support others without feeling drained yourself. You're connected to the heavens above and the earth below. And if you want to access a more guided visualization and meditation on that practice, go to irenamiller.co/get calm. It's my most requested practice to help you basically practice good energetic hygiene, clear your energy field, nice, basic, high level way to do it, like washing your hands. And it's very, very helpful. All right. Let me know if you tried that along with me. Can you feel the difference both in yourself, and for my empaths and energy workers watching, maybe even noticed a shift in myself? And that was simple. You can use crystals. You could have hematite. You could use salt on the tongue. You could use mudras. There's a lot of different options that can be utilized. Okay, now I'm going to try to get my screen back in focus, my camera. Welcome. And so Jasmine, wonderful, Jazz. Thank you so much. I just really love to be able to call everybody by their name with the proper pronunciation. And white light, great, great, great point, Jess. White light is wonderful. And what I've learned in my process and experiences is that white light is a very high vibrational energy. And what happens is that white light can sometimes be so intense that it can almost fry us a little bit. And what I love to do instead is the golden light, and like the sunshine just coming down around you. It's softer and it puts us into neutrality. So if you're around somebody who's agitated and upset, it's like diffusing a bomb. It's very, very sweet. White light, so like even if you're doing energy healing, some people might bring through white light, but I always bring through others with it, like even like a blue, like a pale blue to come, or a silver to come through with it. White light's very intense, and it's kind of like spicy food, right? You know, you go out to a Thai restaurant, they're like, what spice level do you want? Like 0 to 5. And, you know, white light could be super spicy for some, and a little bit intense. So the colors and the way the energy comes through, it's definitely nuanced. Lots of different possibilities out there. Oh, and Chrissy, you said you just grabbed a pinch of salt before I said that. That's so funny. I know, I think I've got to keep salt on my desk right now, because I tell you what, it has been intense, this eclipse energy, to stay grounded and present. I'm even waking up in the middle of the night. It's crazy. So the thing, if you guys watching don't know about the salt, taking like some kosher salt, edible chunky salt, and just putting a little on your tongue is a fast way to ground yourself. So if you're feeling kind of, you know, scattered, foggy, drained, lost, not present and focused, which would be grounded, take a little bit of salt, place it on your tongue. Fantastic little trick. Okay, let's keep going on with the week. Oh, see, this is why I love getting together, because we can have this dialogue and we can kind of go deeper with the practices. And it makes sense. It's what you need here in the moment. Okay, so Wednesday. Wednesday, the moon moves into Leo. And when we have a Leo moon, this is very interesting to me because the Leos are very, very sensitive energy because they love with a fullness. There's an incredible loyalty that comes with a Leo energy. And the Leo energy will protect their tribe. They go to bat for them. There's a loyalty. But they also, because they put so much of their heart into things, can be very sensitive to criticism or, if you ever were to call a Leo out in front of a crowd or embarrass them, that's like one of the worst things that you can do. The Leo energy loves, they wear their heart on their sleeve, I feel. And the other thing about the Leo energy is that they're being called into the spotlight. So Wednesday is a great day to be more visible, to kind of be at the front of your business or to have those conversations with boss, manager, where you maybe want to present an idea or pitch something, or you want to, it's like a day to post and share about something, but it's calling you into the visibility, into the spotlight. Now, Saturn is doing a little bit of a dance. The planet of responsibility, restrictions is saying, okay, even though you're being called into this role of visibility, make sure you maintain healthy boundaries. Keep your promises realistic. So if you're sharing or pitching an idea, it's not going to be wild and off the charts, but you're saying, oh, okay, let me just make sure I'm, taking the responsible approach about this. I'm sensitive to the situation because Saturn is in Pisces, which is about sensitivity and compassion. Check your contracts twice and know that you can really inspire others with the message that you share on Wednesday. So if there's something that you needed to get out and get across, Wednesday's a day to do it, but do it within structure, boundaries, plan it ahead of time is basically, I guess, the best way to say it. So how to make the most of this energy? Eight of Swords. So be mindful of your thoughts because thoughts create our reality. And this card is saying sometimes our thoughts trap us. And remember, the big picture of this week is letting go. It's releasing to receive so that we can be ready for this new opportunity that's coming in, that the eclipse is getting ready to kind of say, hey, this is here. It's been hiding behind door number 3 the whole time. You just didn't realize it because there's a bunch of stuff in front of the door. But there's a door here and you can open it. Here's the key. I've got that Madonna song in my head. Open your heart to me. I hold the lock and you hold the key. Do you know that song? I can't remember. I think it was off her Blue album. Anyway, child of the 80s. This card is saying, watch your thoughts. Watch your thoughts on Wednesday. So if there is negative self-talk, reframe it. Remember that thoughts create reality, and don't let the shoulda, woulda, couldas hold you back from stepping out and vocalizing and sharing your ideas with others. Very, very interesting. Okay, Thursday. Thursday, the moon is still in Leo. So think of it as a day to continue sharing your vision. You can maybe use it to brainstorm, to kind of work things out, but don't bind yourself to any deals or contracts or commitments just yet because we're in the eclipse season and we don't have all the information. So Sunday, September 21st is the last eclipse of this year. And it's an eclipse season. I say that because we tend to have 2 times of the year where we have eclipses, usually in the spring and in the fall, and we call it eclipse season. And there's usually 2, but it could be as much as 3 eclipses per season. And we don't want to bind ourselves to anything just yet because things are still kind of shifting and shaking and we don't have a firm foundation or the full picture yet. What you're trying to do is just to gain clarity. We're trying to become more efficient. We're trying to assess what's going on, but we're not fully committing yet. So if you look at, let's say, you're taking into account, let's say, business, and you're saying, okay, I've got all these different systems. Maybe I can simplify and reduce to this one. Okay, that's great. Do the research, look into it, plan it out, think about it, but you don't have to commit to it fully just yet. Wait till everything settles. If it's at work, make sure you're clarifying communications with your colleagues. If it's in the family, making sure that assumptions don't lead to confusion, but have that moment to kind of come together. Make sure that you leave the space to dream big and just take time to document things. Okay, so Thursday, how can you make the most of Thursday's energy? Oh, 2 cards popping out. Oh, interesting. So Ace of Wands and the Eight of Swords. So let's talk about Ace of Wands. Great inspirational ideas coming through, maybe a new job opportunity. Maybe it's finally this ability to really channel those inspirational ideas. So grab them, take hold of them, make them yours. I go back to that wonderful example of the musician walking through the field. They've gone to this little cabin in the woods to do some songwriting, to get out of, creative block. And as they're taking a walk through the woods one day, they hear the wind move through the trees and the high grasses, the song of the birds. They feel the sun on their skin. They smell the wildflowers, and they just start to feel at ease. And this melody comes to them, and they think, that's mine. And they reach up for that melody, and they grab it into their heart, and they run as fast as they can back to their little cabin, and they jot down the melody, and they make it theirs. So think of Thursday as this opportunity to catch the idea, to make it yours. You don't have to quite do anything with it yet, but just capture it, document it. And if those shoulda, coulda, woulda ideas come up, like, oh, what makes you think that you could do this? Cancel, clear, delete those things and kick them out. Throw them into a golden bucket so they can be transmuted. Like, not for me, not today, bad thoughts. Okay, so Friday. Friday, we wake up to a Leo moon, but eventually it moves into Virgo about 8:23 in the morning Eastern time, so like 5:30 a.m. for our West Coast friends, and across the pond about lunchtime. But waking up to the energy, that's kind of what sets the tone. And then you might notice the shift of the moon a little later in the day. So you're still being inspired. Capture those breakthrough ideas. You might have those ahas that started even coming in on Thursday. Just capture them and say, is this something that I want to work with? Give yourself a time to really tune in to inspiration, and then allow that, share that with others, so that you can inspire others as well, especially if, you're trying to motivate your family or, people at work. When the moon shifts into Virgo later in the morning or the day, wherever you are, you might really notice that shift. Where Virgo all of a sudden is like, okay, well, let's get to the details. Well, not so much inspiration, but how are we going to fix this? How are we going to build this? There's a tiny little pivot that happens. And I love Virgo moons because I get so much done. Usually, sometimes I don't, but usually I do. And then, of course, you can warn your family. All right, how to make the most of the Friday energy. Knight of Cups. Oh, I love it. He's the card of romance for sure. There you go. Get him in focus. So the Knight of Cups is a bit of a charmer, though. And I love that he pops up when the moon is, kicking off in Leo. For most of us, we'll wake up to a Leo moon. And that Leo moon energy can definitely, it's like the Don Juan, you bring the love, you bring the energy. So what I'm going to encourage you to do is to notice where you might be, how do I say it? But might be being charmed, where things might even feel a little bit too good to be true. So if you wake up kind of with that romantic ideal, the rose-colored glasses, okay, enjoy that. But then as the moon switches into Virgo later in the day, one thing to be aware of with that is that the process takes time. Rome wasn't built in a day. So the Empress card, what she's doing is she's reminding us that there's a gestation to everything. So just like a baby takes roughly, 40 weeks, maybe, as soon as 32, we're not going to have a fully formed human sooner than that. And that our dreams take time. And sometimes we can become impatient, especially if We're seeing the highlights of everybody else's journey. And I really feel like that Knight of Cups is, notice where you might have been, and I'm going to keep using that word charmed because it doesn't feel like tricked. It just simply feels like, how do I want to say? It feels like that moment where you thought, wow, they said it would be easy. Like you've got online people saying, make $10,000 in a weekend, or like just start a channel and blah, 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 blah. Okay, great. Maybe some out there experience that, but more often than not, those overnight successes took like 10 or 15 years or 5 years, who knows, right? To get to that point. But an overnight success isn't necessarily like a 24-hour cycle. So whatever ideals and ideas came up during the week, this Virgo energy that's coming in is saying, okay, well, let's plan for it. Let's prepare, and let's realize that Rome wasn't built in a day, that we might need to pivot a little bit, or we might need to refine our ideas, maybe review our, what we're offering, whether it's with our business or whether it's at work. We want to shift towards quality and simplicity. We want to be strategic as opposed to just throwing things out there and up there. Okay, so with Saturday, the moon is in Virgo. And this is about kind of testing out the waters a little bit, giving yourself to realize that chance to realize that sometimes there's hiccups whenever we're doing things, whether we're creating something new or we're releasing something. We give ourselves the opportunity to say, all right, I'm going to leave room for, how do I want to say, it's kind of like leaving for somewhere, right? The Dalai Lama once said, the world would be a happier, more peaceful place. And I'm paraphrasing, and this is coming to me third hand, like by telephone. So do your due diligence, research this. But, the world would be a happier place if everybody left a half an hour earlier for their location, their destination. Sometimes we're filling every moment so full that it really does feel like life is a rush. What would happen if you give yourself just a little bit of extra wiggle room for the unexpected? So, for example, like if a friend contacts you and they say, hey, can you go out for lunch today? Your week isn't so jam-packed that you can't have lunch with a friend, or you can't, you don't have that time for the unexpected detour. Okay, so let's pull a card for Saturday's energy. How can you make the most of Saturday? Couple different people. Queen of Cups. So the Queen of Cups, again, is giving you this invitation to listen to your intuition, listen to your emotions. So even though, and it's so fascinating because we got the Queen of Swords for the beginning of the week when the moon was in Cancer, when we'd be so emotional, it's saying, okay, well, let's step into observer role. Now when the moon is in Virgo and saying, okay, let's be effective, efficient, we're paying attention to the details, not so much the emotions. Queen of Cups is saying, don't forget your heart in this detail. So when we are, how do I want to say, putting together the plan and the fix it, have you ever had this moment where you're like, oh, I know what I can do. I've got this time. I'm going to build ABCXYZ. I'm going to do all of these things, but you don't take your heart into account. And you're like, wow, well, I just needed some playtime or some rest time, or I wanted to be able to have that lunch with a friend. That actually is important. So if I look at my feelings and take those into account as I'm building the project out or the weekend plans out, that can make a big difference in what I'm doing. So pay attention to that as you're building things out. Okay, Sunday. Sunday is the day of the eclipse. It's a new moon. So new moons are about new beginnings. And manifesting with eclipses is a whole other can of worms. We won't get into that too much. Some people are completely against it. Others are like, if you do it very strategically with great intention and focus, go for it. Here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say use this week as a releasing and clearing week. Get rid of the clutter. Find the courage to say, if I let go of this old hurt or this old story, if I no longer put energy into it, what would be available to me? Sometimes we get stuck in the old patterns and stories. Back when I was teaching yoga full time, one of the things that would come up is, people would come in with injuries, legit injuries, right? They had a busted shoulder, or they had carpal tunnel, or they had something like a weak lower back, let's say, and they became so identified with that label that it's like, oh yeah, that's John with the bad lower back, and that's Susie with the bum shoulder. And that would become a part of their identity. What would have happened, right, if they said, oh, my shoulder's great, or they didn't identify with the bad shoulder? Because sometimes they identified so much with that injury or ailment or thing. And it's not that it wasn't true, but they identified so much with it. Who would they be without it, right? Who would you be without that story? It's very interesting. It's kind of like, what's the upside of continuing to do the habit or the pattern that really doesn't serve you in the long run? Like, what's the habit or what's the upside of playing small? Well, you won't be judged. You won't be criticized. You won't be rejected. The boss can't say no if you don't pitch the project or ask for the raise, but they also can't say yes. So it's tricky, right? So that's why we gather together and we build courage and we build into each other. Very exciting. All right. So Sunday, holy cannoli, Saturn sneaking in there. Planet of responsibility. Okay. How to make the most of Sunday's eclipse energy. Oh, it's the sexy devil. Right. So I love it because, people talk about the good cards and the bad cards of the tarot deck. And it's not that they're good or bad. Everything has a high vibrational energy and a low one, even the cards that appear to be all wonderful and juicy and happy over the rainbows. But this is a card of nothing's acting outside of ourselves. This is us making commitments, decisions, and choices to habits or patterns that haven't been really helping us. This is a moment to say, are you going to keep continuing with these old patterns that have kept you playing small, that have kept you trapped, that have kept you in a state of self-sabotage? It's like saying, oh, I want to get healthy and I want to lose weight, but staying up till 2 a.m. so that you can't wake up early to go to the gym or work out before your day starts, because when the day goes on, there's less and less chance that you'll be able to exercise. Or this is like saying, oh, at work, I don't know if I want to pitch that idea because I might be rejected or people might laugh at me. So I'll just keep it to myself. And that would be a self-sabotage. This is just saying, be mindful of what you are staying committed to. Is it keeping you trapped? And this is self-imposed. This isn't anything outside of yourself. And here I go. In and out. Isn't that so interesting? I've got to play with this camera. Let's see if I come in really close, extreme close up. Oh, it's not going to work. Okay, so angels and guides, Archangel Michael, please help me refocus. Here's the thing about it. You see, he just wants to be on the screen more. I'm pulling up another card. Here we go, to help focus with the camera. And we'll bring it back. Okay, 4 of Pentacles. Here's the thing. She's holding on, right? She's trying to save for that rainy day, save her pennies. But sometimes we hold on too long. And what we've been saving goes bad. It's of no use to us. And there is that universal law called the law of use. If we keep holding on to something that we're not using, eventually the universe is going to be like, I need to take that away from you. And it's interesting. It doesn't leave room for the new things to come in. So when you think of that energy of the devil, and I heard a beautiful explanation of it recently, is that, again, it's not what's outside of us, but it's how are we going to deal with the temptations? Come up with a plan, come up with a strategy. I had a great teacher once in the fitness world who's like, willpower is only going to last us so long. Eventually, willpower will run out. You might be able to say no to the chocolate cake at that moment, but like, how long will you be able to contain that willpower? 6 hours, 10 hours, 2 days, a week. But if you have a strategy and you say, all right, I won't eat the chocolate cake because I want to be healthy and strong right now with like your fitness goal. Let's say it doesn't fit into your fitness plans. Then you say, well, my strategy is, well, I won't just have a carrot instead because that'll make me cry. So what's the thing that won't make me cry? Well, maybe a piece of dark chocolate, because then I feel like I'm engaging and I still have something sweet and I'm indulging, but it's not something that'll get me so off track with my big goal. So with Sunday's energy, that's our invitation from the universe. Are you going to keep holding on to the things, the patterns and habits that have kept you stuck? And the eclipse is trying really, really hard to help you out here, but we might still resist. In our head, we might still keep playing the old stories. Let go. Let go. See what's on the other side. And it takes great courage. So look to those who have walked the path before you. They shine a light, they inspire us. All right. Thank you all so much for tuning in, for coming to join me. This is great. If you've made it this far to the end, definitely drop me a little heart emoji to let me know that you've been here along the way and that you got a chance to engage and play. And if you have questions, drop them in the comments. I love this to be engaging. I'm here for you. I thank you so much for being a part of this. If this has helped you, please do like, subscribe, share it with a friend. It helps out so very much, helps out the channel, and it definitely helps out me to spread and share these practices. Thank you for being here. It's a joy to have this time with you. So remember, trust your vibes, follow your heart. I'll catch you back here next Monday, 9:30 a.m. And it's wonderful to see you all. Thanks for being here. Bye, Julie. Much love, everyone. Bye. Bye, Chrissy. Bye, Jasmine. And bye, Hannah. Great to see you. And if you jumped on and you didn't drop a comment, because I know I saw more than commented, definitely leave a comment so I can give you a shout out. All right. Much love. Bye, guys.